So, Ben, do you know what the worst thing is about having a job at the unemployment office?
What, Walt?
If you get fired, you still have to show up the next day. I thought that was a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm rare coin expert Walt Durham,
And industry veteran Ben Parker.
and we make up the coin guys from Texas. So, man, again, another busy week.
It's a busy year.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah.
The gold and silver market have really helped us with that.
Mm-hmm.
Phones have been ringing nonstop.
Yep.
People placing orders, so demand's definitely up. So, do you have current gold and silver prices?
Absolutely.
Because a little bit of a pullback this week, which is to be expected, and that's profit taking.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're just going to touch on each one real quick. Gold is at $2,331. So we talked about the stair stepping. It goes up and then it'll come down to about half of what it was before. 2,300 is comfortable. That's where people are at right now. I think we'll stay here for a while.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different pressures that we're seeing from geopolitical issues that are going on right now, inflation. I believe today the first thing I read was one of the articles was talking about they're now forecasting that there is like a 86% chance that there's not going to be any rate cuts by the Fed this year. All of that stuff has people, you know, a little bit worried. There's uncertainty right now, so gold's not in a hurry to go real low. So 2,331, it's going to stay there, I think, for at least a little while until something else, of course, happens. But silver, it's $27.33. It's pretty much the same thing. We're not back down below 25 like we were earlier this year. Mm-hmm. This is a new comfortable level. People are getting used to it without a doubt.
So what do you say? We had a TikTok comment the other day that said gold is the old hard asset like Bitcoin. I didn't quite understand it, but I think what he was saying is Bitcoin is the new hard asset.
I mean,
what would be your response to that?
My first thought is actually, is Bitcoin, does it fall into the category of a hard asset?
That's exactly what I replied.
That's the first thing I think.
That's exactly what I replied on TikTok was, I don't think you can classify Bitcoin as a hard asset. I think it's technically opposite of a hard asset.
Yeah, for me, when someone says hard asset, I think about tangible. That's the word I think of. Something you can hold, you take with you. And we talk about it all the time, you know, with some of these coins that exist, you could literally hop in your car, drive clear across a couple states, have one coin in your pocket. It could be as much as $1 million and no one would be the wiser. So there's no telling, but that's a tangible. You can take it with you. Now, I will, in one way, I could argue that Bitcoin could be considered a hard asset, and this is getting a little too technical.
Uh-oh.
But you can actually have a physical wallet, like a thumb drive, sequence of code that says this is my wallet, and the Bitcoin is stored there. So you could take that with you, but that's kind of in between. It's a physical item that holds the digital money.
I'm going to say this about Bitcoin. I'm going to take Warren Buffett's position on if you don't understand it, don't invest in it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I do. I don't understand it, don't understand how it's made, don't understand any of it, don't care to. Yes, people have gone. I've seen Bitcoin go from 15,000 a Bitcoin to 60,000, and I'm sure people made money. But just because some people made money doesn't mean you're going to make money. I don't like things that I don't understand, and I don't like things that could one day, within 24 hours, go to zero.
Absolutely.
And that is one, and it is far more likely that Bitcoin goes to zero than GE goes to zero,
right.
In my opinion.
Right.
So, silver American Eagle prices today from us are $35.06 with a credit card. And gold American Eagles are 1 ounce, $25.37 with a credit card. We have been selling silver Eagles like free beer at a barbecue.
And that's in Texas.
They are flying out of the door.
Yeah.
At 3506, they are flying out the door. Just silver's in the news. People think silver's going to make that run. So I guess that's why we're seeing all the demand coming up. But I could have told you a couple of days ago that we were going to see a halt in gold and silver prices because Yeah, I was talking to a dealer the other day, one of the major distributors, and he said we've got a lot of. We had sold some stuff, and he said, "Yeah, we're backed up on people. Opening packages. We have so much stuff being sold. That tells you people just like us taking profit and moving on. Because at the end of the day, we are a business, and so you got to take profit when you can. And sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. We try to win more than we lose, and that's how we stay in business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, today we wanted to talk about, you'd come up with a pretty interesting idea about would you say it was the
So
perfect
I'm thinking
price guide?
the perfect price guide.
The perfect price guide.
One of the questions I often get is, what do you use? You're in the industry. What do you use to determine the value of a
47
coin?
different things.
Exactly. And that's kind of the joke. A perfect price guide
Does
not exist.
Doesn't exist.
It's something that we wish we could have, a book, open it up. The problem, we run into, and we're going to touch on this, is that as soon as you put it on paper, it's technically outdated already. So
Very much so. I mean, so people, to answer that question, what do we use? We use a multitude of different things, and we will dive deep into this.
you know what I use?
What?
I use Walt.
Yeah.
You are a wealth of information,
And I'll show you exactly how I determine the price of a coin. But coming up tomorrow is the newest edition of the Ultra Breaks. And so this kind of is a good segue into price guides and stuff like that, because of all the episodes we've done, when we talk about Ultra Breaks, I won't say it's the most controversial, but it's the ones that we get the most comments about. Some people are like, man, I love this way of collecting. Other people are, this is stupid. It's a label. It's never going to be worth anything. Do you kind of get that?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to fall into one of those two
polar
camps.
Opposites.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like everybody's in two camps, nobody's in the middle.
Yeah.
So me and another dealer were talking the other day, and I wanted to go over, and we'll put this up on the screen, but we want to go over what kind of money Ultra Breaks are bringing on the secondary market, because at the beginning, when we were first approached with Series 1 of the program, I said, that's going to be the determinant thing, is how the secondary market sees these coins, right? And so I just went to eBay, printed off the last 3 items sold on the gold labels, because labels don't add any value,
Not at all,
to anything. That's the common thing you hear about. Oh, who cares if it's signed by Mercanti? Who cares if it's signed by Anna Cabral? Who cares if that it sounds like to me, who cares like that baseball signed by Babe Ruth?
Yeah.
So I printed out, these are April 24th through April 23rd. So very recent. We're filming this on the 25th. So these are within the last couple of days. A 1 ounce silver Krugerrand PCGS 70 gold label. So it's 1 of 100, or 1 of 100 shot.
Yeah.
For a gold label. What do you think that coin brought in auction? These are not buy it nows. These are auctions.
Auctions. Okay. So first question, how many bids? Does it say how many bids?
1 bid.
Okay.
So here, a lot of people are not starting these bids off at 0.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I mean, if it was at 0, there'd probably be over 100 bids.
Yeah.
But okay, a 1 ounce silver Krugerrand.
At the end of the day, it's a 1 ounce silver Krugerrand and PCGS 70.
Yeah.
According to some people.
Yeah.
But it's an Ultra Breaks.
500.
Pretty close. 549.
549.
So again, what is that coin worth in PCGS 70? $100. So 5 times the price, because it's an Ultra Break. So that's pretty strong. And okay, some people might argue, well, that's an outlier. There's tons of records like this. And this is the most recent Ultra Break. Right here, it's also like a 2023 MS70 Libertad. 486, that's with 20 bids. So that was one that was obviously started lower.
They started it lower and worked the way up.
But this is the one that gets me, right? This proves it. This is a chase coin. 1988S, proof 70, Silver Eagle. Mm-hmm. This is from the back to the 80s.
Yeah.
Ultra Breaks. Gold label, 88S. We think that coin sold for PCGS Proof 70.
1,700.
God, you're getting close. Hey, no, boy,
Really?
Mm.
I'll tell you what. 1814.89. So this is why that's significant. That coin sold most recently in auction in a Mercanti signature for $423. So let's do a little Texas math.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and say close to 5 times the value.
Yeah. Close enough.
Close enough, right? So, I mean, you cannot deny this. This is gold labels. These aren't infinities.
No,
these are gold labels.
This isn't even the
So
best
the
coins out of the
secondary
set.
market is supporting them.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the cons because we talked about the pros. Let's talk about the cons. The cons is if you do pull the regular gray ultra break, you know, those were what, 149?
Mm-hmm.
I think immediate value of them is probably 70 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have that coin online. We've been offered $80 more times than I can count.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a little bit of a downside on those immediately. Who knows what the future holds with them, right? That's kind of my outlook on it. But look at these infinity labels.
Oh, so we got infinity.
I got some infinity
I was
infinity
close
label
on the
prices.
gold. I'm afraid to. Okay.
You want to take a stab at a 2024 PCGS Proof 70 1 of 15 Ultra Infinity label? I'll give you a hint. 64 bids. 64 bids.
Okay. It's a 23 or 23 proof 70.
24 Proof
24
70.
Proof
so
70.
this current year issue, PCGS Proof 70 Ultra Infinity label, pop 15.
2,375.
God, you're pretty close. 21.25.
Okay.
That's that's a $400 coin retail.
Yeah.
Selling for $2,125. A 2024 Mint State 70 Infinity label, one of 30.
Mm-hmm.
2 bids, $1,550.
Jeez.
2024 1 ounce Silver American Eagle Infinity label, again, $1,550. The numbers don't lie. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up and I'm going to segue this into the price guide is because I would be willing to bet my firstborn child that if you brought this to a pawn shop or a local buyer, you're going to hear it's an ounce of silver in 70.
Yeah.
It's worth $35.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, you know, we talked a couple episodes back about, you know, things to avoid when selling your coins. Pawn
Right.
shops in general, avoid that. But
Yeah.
using a price guide can help in some ways. It can harm you. So even if you had a price guide, so one of the big popular ones right now is the red book or the blue book, different things like that.
Right.
Those, if you go and look that coin up,
They don't take into account.
they
these.
can't. There's not
Right.
even a section for that. So, and there's a lot of other ones out there, but that's undeniable proof that somebody bought a ultra break for. Some of those were 150. Some of them were more or less.
Yeah.
And
So the proofs were 229. The
Yeah.
around the worlds were 150.
there were one coins worth thousands of dollars
Right.
now already. So
We had a customer who pulled out of, and I'll try to go in order with his around the world. He pulled a gold infinity coin. So there's one online right now for $10,000. He paid $150 for that coin. And I'll say it again, there's one listed online for $10,000.
yeah,
Is it worth $10,000? I haven't seen any of them sell at that price, but it's definitely worth thousands. Definitely. It's an ounce of gold. Right?
yeah,
He also pulled a couple of gold labels, which we are seeing are in the $500 range. He paid $150 for. He also pulled an infinity silver coin. He also pulled proof gold out of the proof back to the 80s proof ultra breaks, which were $229. He pulled gold labels, which are probably worth that $500 to $1,000. Red books and stuff like that do not take that into account. You can't.
there's no way to.
Yeah, because and if you were to ask, I guarantee if you go ask a dealer who doesn't really deal with ultra breaks, he'd say it's worth $200. But
do a little bit more
but
research.
it's really
yeah.
worth. I mean, the market is telling you that the ultra breaks are worth more money,
Yeah.
and that's the most exciting thing for me because that's when this stuff starts to pay off. Because at the beginning, we're on series 7 of the ultra breaks.
I think so. Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, that was the tell. Like if the market accepts this and says these are more valuable, this is going to be the coolest thing since signature coins. I guess you know.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're going to start to have some fun because now you really realize that these things are going to like sell for good money. They are valued in the eyes of modern coin collectors. So that's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, what I really like about the ultra breaks is in my opinion, the popularity can only increase from here.
Sure.
This is still relatively small for as big as a program can get, like signature series or anything like that. So it's only a matter of time before it gets more popular, and as it gets more popular, there's more demand. So
Right.
these first group, the series 1 through probably 15, are going to have lower populations, a lot more demand for them as time goes on.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that it's hard to just put like a price on something.
Yes.
And it's hard for us to put a price on something. It's hard for everybody. And that's why we were talking about the perfect price guide doesn't exist. And man, I've said this story so many times and I'll say it again. I probably said it on this podcast that, you know, I remember being a young dealer having the gray sheet. A lot of people know what the gray sheet is. You pay a bunch of money for this printed piece of newspaper that tells you what pretty much every freaking coin is and every grade, a price guide on it, dealer prices, right? And there was these coins, modern gold commemoratives, which I wasn't familiar with. You know, they were mint state 70s, ultra, you know, they're pretty rare. Gray sheet had them at 2,100. I bought them from a guy at 1,600, another dealer, because he showed me, you know, look at the gray sheet on them. I'm like, cool. That, I mean, even if I sell them to our customers at gray sheet bid, which is at dealer bid,
Right.
you know, that's good money for us. They get it. And then I come home, fly home from that show, and I see that could have bought the coins for $900 anywhere. That'll give you the red ass.
Absolutely. I mean,
And so, and again, I was living by, this is the Bible. And that's one thing I learned early on in my career is that it's a guide. It's not, you know, it just, you can't do it. The perfect price guide doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You said it. So that, and to me, that's the thing about the Red Book. The way I tell people to use the Red Book, and I don't know how you tell people to use it, but what I tell people is, if you're looking at stuff that you inherited, right? You look through all the dates and you see this coin's worth, you just pick a grade and you see it's worth $5, $5, $5, $5, $175. You need to get that one looked at, you know?
yeah.
That's about the only way I use the Red Book. I use Red Book for mintages. I could care less about the prices that they're put there. I'm looking for price spreads. I'm looking for a coin to go from, you know, 5,000, 5,000, 6,000, 5,000, 6,000, 5,000, 5,000, 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I don't care what the actual numbers are. I'm just looking for the actual jump. That's what I use the Red Book for. Mintages and that jump. I'm looking for key dates because let's be honest, you just cannot be an expert in everything. And so we have tools that help us, and these Red Books and stuff like that are supposed to be a tool that helps you.
So I would absolutely agree. I tell people, if you want to know the specifications, it lists the diameter, short, brief
History.
like history of it, paragraph, gives the size of the coin there in the book. You can look at it. But you're absolutely right. We've talked before, the case for key dates. If you're trying to identify these key dates and you're looking through coins, whether you got them from a family member, they're passed down to you, you're looking through your own collection and you haven't, started sorting, go through, and there's nothing wrong with taking a highlighter, and you can tell because it gives you a range of the lowest grade all the way up to the highest grade, and then they'll all be about the same, but there's going to be one or two that in the same condition, all these are one flat price, which they're not. They're never a flat price. That should tell you there's something off, but there's one or two or three, depending on the set, that pops up and says, wow, this is twice the value according to the Red Book as these other dates. So just highlight that date and say, okay, if I come across that, I'll know that it's something a little bit more special than the others.
Right. So, and another thing, let's say you're actually buying coins for, like you're buying good coins. You're not just looking through Grandpa's old coin collection. You're buying $10 O mints or $10 liberties, $20 liberties. There's another way you could use these books, and you can use the book by looking at, say you got a $10 liberty, minted at Philadelphia. You know, it's got a mintage of 800,000. I'm just throwing numbers out there, and then you look at an S mint, and it's got a mintage of 400,000. And you look, the Philadelphia mint, the book has it valued at a pretty good spread compared to the S mint. So you can say, okay, this S mint is undervalued. In the series, I could go buy this coin now when the market is underappreciating this date and save money in the long. That's how you win in the long term, is you find stuff that the market is underappreciating, right? Because it's not like the ultra breaks where you can just break up a pack that you paid $150 for and get $1,000 coin. You can go, you have to do some work to find the value. You follow what I'm saying there?
Absolutely.
So I think that's one good way to use the Red Book. But to use it as, oh, this coin's worth $500 is either going to shoot yourself short because you don't know what's going on in the actual market with that. And to me, the biggest one with price guides, or I mean, like this OMint 10s, is just because we see so much of them, how far off the price guides are.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, I had a guy call, or, you know, I talked to a guy and he was saying, well, the price guide on it is, you know, $13.50, and it was either NGC or PCS price guide. I'm like, right, that's almost melt for an MS62 $10 OMint. You know,
it's
that 2,000 of them may exist in the world, like in any grade. You were saying it's worth melt. It's not.
It's probably what it was worth in 2015. You know,
that's the hard part. And so I've worked, you know, closely with NGC and like, hey, like these price guides are low.
Yeah.
And the guy, because there's one guy who controls it all, basically. He's like, it's basically, if to change one date, you know, you've got to change all the, because you can't just move the mint state or the AU58 up, and then you got to move the 55 up, the 61 up, the 62 up, because you can't have the 58 more than the 62, and then it becomes all this work. Then you got to justify all this stuff has to be justified because NGC's putting their name on it, right?
Yes.
So they've got, you know, if push comes to shove, they've got to be able to shove back and say, I've got proof that this is worth this, and they're like, well, we'll just leave it like it is.
I mean, when you break it down like that, think about this whole process logically. And I want to touch on that one more time, what you just said. When you change one grade, one coin, one mint, and one grade, when you change that price, everything below it and above that grade has to be altered.
And variations.
Yes, so a 55 is always going to be worth more than a 53. It has to work that way.
Right.
But where they run into a problem with that is auctions.
And there's not enough, public data.
It has to come from a public source. And I think depending on the company, whoever, Redbook, whatever it may be, some require one sale, some require two sales around that price. They use different algorithms and things like that. But the nightmare of having to say, okay, this one sold at this price, but the only other auction they have results from is from before COVID or when gold was $1,800. It's a nightmare to even try to keip up with that.
So there's two ways that NGC can get prices for like you said, auction or reported transactions, which nobody does. Like there's a button on NGC's website where you can go report a transaction, and they'll take it into consideration, but nobody does it because nobody wants, you know, everybody knowing what they paid for something.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one of the good things about coins, and especially, you know, coin nerds and coin guys, we're very private individuals, so it's just not getting reported.
Especially when you're talking about anything of value, there's a risk involved when anyone knows that you have those
Well,
coins.
exactly.
So
That's kind of, so that's the way NGC and PCGS kind of look at the price guide, right? They kind of look at it from that. The way Redbook does it, and I don't even think most people know this. If you open up like the first couple of pages, you'll see a list of names, contributors to the Redbook. Half those people are in my cell phone, and each person specializes in different things, and they put their 2 cents in a year or two in advance.
Yeah.
To when, you know what I mean? That's why we've had individuals, like you see a run up in gold, and I'm thinking, now they've got mint state 70 prices in there, right? Shows you how much I
some
look,
of them, yeah.
shows you how much I
yeah.
look at the Red Book.
Yeah.
So they got mint state 70 prices in there. They might have a half-ounce gold eagle at $9.50 mint state 70. Well, that's below melt. But you will have individuals say, no, it's priced at $9.50. I'm not paying more than $9.50. Then you'll never own the coin. Again, it's a tool. But if all of them are priced at $9.50 and the 2014 is priced at $11.50, then you know that that's a slightly better date for some reason. And you scroll over to the left and you see that the mintage is only 30,000. And in the other years, it's 50, 60, 70, 80, not 100,000. You'll see why.
Yeah.
A tool. That's how that's how to use it. That's how to use the Red Book. Again, most time when we use it, I use it for mintages.
Yeah, exactly.
Or to see like, hey, did they make a San Francisco mint this year at on this particular coin? Okay, let me look.
It's a tool, not something you should live and die by. That's the difficult thing, that when you're not comfortable and you don't know. And look, I'll admit, like, I learn more every single day that I do this job, because there's so many different coins out there. I don't think it's possible for one person to know everything about every coin in America.
It's not. It's not.
That's why we pick, specific areas we specialize in, and it's impossible for people sometimes to sit there, have an idea what they want to do. They don't have the wealth of information that we even have. So then when they're going to go purchase a coin, they look at that and say, well, I want to have some kind of guide, or it's ultimately you're going to have to take some slight risk. You're going to have to put some trust in yourself, your judgment. And if you do just a little research, you know that this is a key date. And I love the quote that you said before about Jerry Jones. If you're worried about, like he said, I overpaid, everything I ever overpaid for, I made money on. And this isn't, that's if you're talking about from an investor side of it. I don't really look at it necessarily that way, but if you are doing this as a hobby and you enjoy these coins and you say this is a key date, no one wants to buy a commemorative piece for $700 more than it's actually worth. But I mean, if you're getting close enough, then you're doing good. So
again, so we were talking about me putting together a grade set of a common date Morgan.
Right.
For those that don't know, a grade set is an example in XF40, an example in XF45, AU50, 53, 55, of all the same date. There's an example. Well, I'm not going to tell y'all what particular date I'm working on, because I don't want y'all to go drive the prices up on it. But there was an XF coin out there, and XF Morgan, and that's what, $35 coin probably, and I paid $55 for it because it's in an XF40 holder.
Yeah, why would you pay almost double for what it's worth?
Because when you start doing research, because I want all my coins to be NGC. There's 29 coins out there.
Wait, so you're telling me that you did a little research, you saw an area that was undervalued, so you paid more for it?
Right, because at the end of the day, when I put together this cool set, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a really cool set. That's where that extra money comes in. I'm going to get that extra money.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a strategy. It is what it is. So I'm overpaying by 50% of what the coin's worth, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, your population of 29, that's interesting. So
right. And then yeah. And to put it on perspective, even we have plenty of XF Morgans back there that I could go through and know that, this one will straight grade. I probably still wouldn't get out under $55. So I save time by going straight to somebody who's already got in a certified holder, and I probably save money because, even, I mean, I'm going to spend about $50 getting it certified.
Well, guess
shipping there and back.
Guess what? You're also saving
what?
Time.
That's what I'm saying.
Time,
Time.
the time,
the time. Waiting. Listen, if you haven't submitted anything to NGC or PCGS, like even us, like we get preferential treatment.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes we're waiting a month.
That's how it is.
And like a lot of you retail people, I promise you, you'd be lucky to wait just a month on some stuff. I mean, it's
a busy year.
It's a busy year. So
I want to say this real quick before we.
Yeah.
So you pulled up, and I won't say the date, but you pulled up yours and you showed me, hey, I bought this, and I was like, oh, that's great. So I looked around, made a couple phone calls, and I found, because we talked about low balls.
Yeah.
I found a 1, and just to show you where a price guide won't account for this.
Oh yeah.
A XF40, you overpaid 50%, got it for $55, whatever it was.
Right.
This low ball was like $500.
Right.
But there's I think 3 in the world in this grade. Is it worth that? In my opinion, absolutely. Yeah. If there's a population of 3, it's the low ball. It's got the demand. So a price guide can't account for that.
It can't.
So what do we call that? That's conditional rarity. Normally we talk about
this is the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Normally we talk about conditional rarity on the higher end of the grade scale. Well, now we have to take into account for the low end too.
And I think it was Jeff Garrett who said, you got to be careful and not undervalue a low pop, high grade coin just because of a price guide.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to put a number on some of those coins. Again, the 1907 20 high relief and 69 CAC. At the time we bought the coin, the price guide was $850,000. And I promise you, we paid way more than $850,000 for the coin. Because the price guide, you can't put a price on the only one. It's just hard to do so.
Yeah.
And no fault of PCGS. They put a number out there, but it's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. We were willing to pay more than that, and somebody was willing to pay us more than what we paid.
Yeah.
And to this day, somebody's willing to pay more than what our customer paid. He won't sell it, but somebody's willing to pay him more.
It's kind of the way I think about it too. Is price guides they're not a definite this number, that's it. It's a imagine you're driving through a town that you've never been through before.
Yeah.
We have GPS now, but you say you stopped and asked for directions, they're going to give you an idea, but it's up to you to get there.
Right. And so you had brought up at the beginning is like, how do we kind of price coins? Well, what people fail to realize is I get every morning that I come in, I have about 20 emails from different dealers having their list, whatever they're putting out for the day, whether it's like common date stuff. I mean, you get some of the list, so you know what I'm talking about. But let's just break it down to like Proof Gold Eagles, right? And OGP. Every day I watch that price change. And then we're on trading networks like Roundtable Trading or whatever, where I get to see in real life dealers from across the country post what they have for sale and watch it not sell or sell quickly or sell at the right pace. So I know if I go put out a Gold Eagle set and Proof OGP at $500 over and it sells immediately, that the market is trending upwards or I price it too low. I know in the same fact that if I price it at 500 and it doesn't sell, I'm overpriced. But I get to watch this in real time, day in and day out. And so that's how we price our coins. That's how we know what to pay for stuff. And then let's say we have a coin that's been here for a year. We probably paid a little too much for it. That's it. I mean, then it's time to start discounting, right? But if I'm buying a coin, if the NGC price guide says coin X is worth $2,000 and I have the coin listed at $3,100 and it sells and I'm selling one a week, I am not too high.
If anything, you're charging too little.
Right. I am, the coins are moving out of here. And I've had these conversations with customers before. Well, the price guide says this. The price guide does not buy and sell these group of coins every week like we do. I'm here to tell you that this coin I will sell one a week at this price. And these are the last 3 I've sold.
Yeah.
And because we've had a customer, another dealer be like, "Oh, those coins are worth that. I want you to do business with me."
It's episode 1,
Yeah. And so it's like, here's the last 5 of this particular date in this grade that we have sold. 2 sold in January for this, 2 sold, 3 sold in February for that, and we just go through and it's like, so you paid this, you're right in the middle. You're not the highest one. You're not the lowest one. That's the market. Mm-hmm. Coins are worth what somebody's willing to pay for them.
Absolutely. So when we do that every single day for years and years and years, like we have record of all that. So in a way, we almost have our own price guide because it's happening live as it's going on, and we can see trends. We can see, this one's a really good deal, and I'll talk to you every now and then, pop in and say, "Hey, I think this is a good deal. What do you think?" And just having the ability to bounce that off of each other, talk about it. We have our own records here. That's the best thing that you can do. So if you're in this as a hobby, collector, investor, whatever it may be, the longer you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And that's why we recommend sticking with one area, because if you're doing this hodgepodge, all this, it's impossible to try and know everything about 15 different types of coins, and it just gets to be a little too much.
Right. One of my best friends in the business, the reason he is so good at what he does is he has a photographic memory. Mm. Again, he sees the same stuff that I see. So that's that's his business, is his memory. Oh, this guy's willing to pay $700 for these coins. This guy's selling this coin. This coin pops up for $600. Buy it. This coin popped up for $450. Buy it. Like, you'd be surprised how many times I can take a coin from dealer A and go to dealer D and make 20%. Mm. Just because this person values, needs these coins, is not getting enough of them at 700, and this guy doesn't deal with it. And so if he paid $450 and this guy's paying $700, what did he pay his customer? Not $450.
Yeah.
So if his customers are paying $800, this guy got it $300. Oh, I overpaid for that coin. No, you just sold it to the wrong person. And price guides have a hard time putting that stuff into perspective. So
in a way, it's kind of like any.
And you can't go strictly off of auction either. I don't mean to cut you off, but you can't go strictly.
No,
stuff falls through the cracks every now and then.
Especially, you have to take into account an auction can happen. I can't count how many times that we've shut the door, we've locked it, and you're here.
Yeah.
Or, we have someone else here that's here till 9 p.m., and we're central, so there's,
Eastern is...
In Eastern, you have to take account of this stuff. Some of them, they go even later than that, these online auctions, depending on what it is. So, and if you've ever been to an auction or you've done anything bidding on auctions before, things 100% do fall through the cracks.
All the time. And just because something falls through the crack doesn't mean that's the new market. Mm-hmm. And true story, several years ago, I was with a couple of dealers, was at probably the Fun Show. We were sitting in the hotel lobby after a long day at the show. It was like 11:30 at night. Mm. And we were watching auctions. We're like, this is coming up at midnight. And we got in an Uber, went back to the auction. And the dealer I was with bought the particular item for $135,000, which was a complete steal. Mm. Coin, I mean, complete steal for what it was. But it went off at midnight.
Yeah.
I mean, who in the right mind is up at midnight? Not many people.
Yeah.
And willing to spend that kind of money. So it was bad. It was a bad deal on the auctions part. But that will forever be in the auction record. But that's an outlier.
If you weren't there, you didn't know the situation. You wouldn't know.
So you can't just solely rely on auction records because, you just can't do it. There's so many variables.
See, and it all depends on what you're doing, what you know. If for instance, if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I've got this bass boat, such and such," I have an idea what they're worth.
Right.
I'd have to talk to somebody like you to know, because I mean, you fish, so
Right.
you have a boat. So I'd have like, "Hey, I don't know what this price is." It's the same with any other career or job or any other field out there. If I have to have any, plumbing done on my house, AC goes out, there's a million different things that can happen. I'm going to have to, one, trust the person that's doing it, or look around, get an idea of what it normally costs, and it's going to be a wide range, depends on what you get. It's the same thing with coins.
Yeah.
So
what's your opinion? What do you think the best price guide to use? Which one do you use the most?
I really don't. I mean, I use everything.
Yeah.
I use my previous knowledge, talk to you, so I have
Right.
friends in the industry that I can rely on, and then I'll look at the Red Book, maybe look at price guides for NGC or PCGS, but it's a culmination of all of that and the history that we have, the records that we know, what we've paid for, what we've seen things sell for, all of that kind of goes into play, and I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I would say I look at NGCs a little more than I do PCGSs or Numis Media or Red Book, just for the price, get some kind of a starting spot, right? You had a collector the other day who was like, "I think PCGS price guides are too low on this particular series." He was probably accurate.
He was pretty upset. This guy's been collecting $5 gold eagles, and he loves the Roman numerals. So if you didn't know this, 1986 to 1991, the gold eagles had Roman numeral dating. So he's working on his $5 collection, and he wants to build it in PCGS. The issue is he keeps going to the price guide, or any price guide, but he's been going to PCGS, and he's never been able. He's been waiting for years to try and finish this collection, and he only needs a couple pieces left, but he won't get them. He won't pull the trigger on anything because the price guy said it's this. He's never been able to see those coins available remotely close to what the price guide has it for.
Because the harder to find coins never come up, therefore the price guide never gets changed.
Exactly. And it's primarily done privately. So he was kind of upset. He gave me a list. He said, I'm going to have to pay you a little bit more, but, as long as there's nothing egregious, I'm fine with that. Well, now we're adding another list to things for you to go look for. And that's happening all across America.
More and more.
And it's difficult. And what I hate more than anything, or hate's a very strong word, but what I dislike a lot is, we're relatively young.
Yeah.
We've been doing this. Some of these collectors out there have been waiting for this one Morgan, this one gold eagle, this $10 gold Liberty, this $3 gold piece for years. If they would have overpaid when they first could have got it,
they'd be ahead of the game.
They would be doing so good right now. It's
a buddy of mine told me that when it came to real estate, when I was looking for lake property, I kept striking out. And he said, "You're a coin guy, that's why." And this guy does not do coins. He's a real estate guy. He said, "You're a coin guy. You're trying to find the absolute best price." He said, "Just buy it." And when he said that, within a couple of months, we just bought it. Yeah. And man, did we hit a home run. I mean,
Imagine the feeling, though, if you had waited, if you said, "Well, that's not right. I'm not just going to buy it." Now you'd be, the real estate market right now is a nightmare. It's only getting worse. So imagine having to get the same one now. You're gonna pay even more now. So just go ahead and buy it. That's the big thing.
You just can't use the price guide as the Bible. It is what it is. There's variations there, and you either going to choose to pay a little more or you're not. But if you come to me, it took us a while to get NGC to raise the 1989 10th ounce proof 70 up. I wanted it 10% more than the 88 and 90 and 91. And I just simply said, "Listen, this person, me, this dealer, and this dealer are all bidding on these coins, and we're constantly moving the price up on the 89s. because we're not getting any in. And so finally they were like, cool. And that's why the price guide's 10% more on an 89/10th. It's because it's like, hey, like, because, but I just wanted collectors to see, like, doesn't matter what the price, like, this is a better date. Like, you need to pay more for it.
This is one of the issues that
I'm paying more for it. You need to pay more. Like, you have to pay more for it. If you want the coin, you got to pay more for it.
It's one of the issues where, you'll see, and I'll bring up the red book again, you'll see all these coins, and it's like 6 coins in a row, the same grade, the same price.
Never happens.
They're doing that because it's making their job a little bit easier. And as a company, it's safe for them to say it's at least worth this. They're not giving you the mid or the high price for that. So it's tough.
At the end of the day, you want to use a combination of things
Yes.
to get your stuff done. And whether you're over or under the price guide, just remember, it's a guide. It's an imaginary line somewhere.
Yeah, and I will say another thing too is that a lot of books out there, an issue you run into is that they jump grades, there's gaps in between the grades, or there's a cap on the highest grade. I know Red Book for a lot of them is I want to say a 63. So when we're dealing with some of these higher end coins, the book doesn't even touch it. The book doesn't even want to go near those because it knows you can't do that. And, especially on the higher end coins, you're going to either make a really big mistake from it or someone's going to end up getting hurt by that. But
absolutely,
that's, the whole reason why we're saying this, the perfect price guide does not exist. And if you've been thinking about getting one specific coin for your set, just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and get the house. Go ahead and get whatever it may be. Get that one coin because you'll be better off. Because if you wait, or if you've waited, 5 years and you haven't done that yet, it's only going to get quote unquote worse.
Right. And I've said this on previous episodes. I have a friend of mine who did this with a Ford pickup truck, or needed to buy a pickup truck, wanted to wait for the right time, wait to catch a good deal on a pickup truck. Then he got to where he absolutely had to have a pickup truck and ended up spending $20,000 more on a truck than if he would have just went ahead and bought a truck at full MSRP 3 years prior.
Yeah.
And so he would already came out ahead. So you can't wait for the perfect moment. At the end of the day, somebody once told me a good deal is a state of mind. So if you do your research and you feel like it's a good deal, it is a good deal. Period. End of story. Buy it.
I like that. That's it.
So there's no perfect price guide, and that's it.
That's it.
Price guides stink. Don't like them.
Hey, they're okay.
No, they're okay. I just don't like the people who say, "Well, the price guide is this." Well, okay.
Well, and if you think about it too, a guide is meant for beginners, novices.
Yeah.
So it helps people out get their footing, and then you take it a step further, and you don't need a guide.
Yeah, you need a guy, a coin guy.
A coin guy
From Texas.
from Texas.
There you go. Well, that's all we've got. You got anything else, Ben?
That's it.
Don't go by price guides.